welcome to our next portion of climate conversations here in the Pacific. I am joined by...
Bula, my name is Filimone Tuivanualevu, and I am the Climate Change Division Acting Director, and we are under the Ministry of Environment and Climate Change for the Government of Fiji.
Thank you so much for coming and talking to me today. Maybe we can start out by discussing the climate impacts that are occurring here in Fiji and in the wider Pacific, maybe discussing any personal experiences that you've had here.
So, okay, thank you. So, even in the Pacific, or even here in Fiji, climate change is something new, and it's something that different governments had to tackle. So having a government arm that looks into climate change issues is very new. Our office is one of the newest offices in government architecture because of the climate change crisis. Mm-hmm. So to talk about the impacts, we now face the increasing intensity of tropical cyclones. What our parents and our grandparents faced, they would probably face 1 to 2 tropical cyclones every 10 to 15 years. But now we're facing it every 2 to 3 years. Mm-hmm. And these are quite strong tropical cyclones, Category 3 to Category 5. 2016, we had the strongest tropical cyclone to hit the southern hemisphere, Tropical Cyclone Winston, and that took apart a substantial amount of our economy and our GDP. Apart from that, we have issues with precipitation, a lot of heavy rainfall that is faced, and a lot of flooding. Some communities had to be relocated because of landslides, and just as well as the increase in temperature. In 2022, we recorded the highest temperatures here in Fiji, so that is just an indication of the changes in climate that we're experiencing. Apart from that, the rise in sea level, 80% of our rural communities are coastal communities. Because of colonization, the communities have to be brought to the coast for easier access for administrators, and now we're moving backwards, where we have to take them back inland because the sea level rise and how it is exacerbated because of climate change and tropical cyclones. So, and there are different contexts. We are an oceanic island. We are not a continent. We're just a volcanic island, and we have some other coral atolls and smaller islands that form the Fiji Islands. And this is quite similar to other coral atolls in the Pacific. And they face issues with water scarcity because of the lack of rain and the isolation. So it's quite a diverse range of impacts in a place like Fiji because of the geographical locations of our different islands, and very different as well across the Pacific. This is in Fiji. This is some of the issues we are facing. If you go and speak to someone from Kiribati or Tuvalu, they will tell you a totally different story of their climate change impacts. Personal experience. A tropical cyclone hit a village where my mom's village is from, and it damaged our family home. This was quite devastating because it holds a sentimental value. It is where we all started from before we ventured into the urban areas and got jobs in the city. So things like that are out of your control, and you just have to bear the brunt of it and just witness a massive tropical cyclone hitting your village and seeing families lose their homes, lose their assets that they've worked years or some even generations to build, and just watch it get lost in a matter of hours. It's really heartbreaking, and it takes a toll on the mental well-being as well in our villages and the rural communities that are at the forefront of climate impacts.
I think maybe, especially for those who are watching maybe in Northern Europe and North America, the awareness is maybe lacking a little in terms of the real deep connection that people have here to their land and to their communities. Maybe you could explain a little bit more about how that comes into play when it combines with the climate changing as it is right now.
Mm-hmm. So here in Fiji, particularly, we we are rooted to the land that we are born into. So every Fijian communally owns land. So your extended family, there's a registry that mandates or legally gives you this piece of land that is owned by you and your generations to come. And this land is inalienable, right? So it's part of us, not just legally, but just in our DNA. And with that, it is intertwined with our culture and tradition. Trees, if someone comes to a village and they just see a tree, it might be just a tree, but to villagers, that'll be like their traditional totem. Or there might be a story of their origin, how that tree helped them in a time of need, or had given them strength in a time of need. A certain fish that also has a cultural or traditional significance to a village, in which they cannot eat it because it is they hold it to a high regard because of its relevance to their tradition and culture. And so, like for me, from my village, my traditional fish is the turtle, and I cannot eat a turtle. I cannot even be part of or even wear a shirt with the turtle because we hold it to such a high regard. Turtle is my traditional totem. There's a story of my ancestors and how they came to this group of islands, and it in a way guides us in how we live our lives as well. Our traditional totems that we before Christianity came, we had a different form of reverence and to our environment, to the things that we had to ensure was balanced. Sustainable. There was a sustainable way of life before this modernized world that we practice. There were seasons. We had a traditional calendar. There were early warnings of tropical cyclone coming or a drought coming. The environment around us would give signs, and this is all part of our oral tradition, our oral history that is passed on from our forefathers, and they would tell us, when this is when you see this particular plant, this means that this fish is in abundance at this particular place in the ocean. So those types of science, it's a science, I would say, year-longs of observations and data collected by our forefathers. And don't get me even started on the wayfinding and seafaring of my ancestors that had sailed across this vast Pacific Ocean. And yeah, that's another story altogether. But yes, we're very proud of it, and we always try to remind ourselves of the great victories that our forefathers had in learning and adapting and living in balance with the changes they were going through.
I agree. I think it's something that the world should be admiring, really, especially in our current circumstances. So thank you very much for sharing.